hope I've changed. I hope I'm changing every day, because that's where all the happiness is. You know, it's always climbing the mountain, not getting to the top, right?
Well, I like both, but I haven't found the top yet.
I think success is like a two-way thing. It's climbing up the mountain, and it's looking for other mountains to climb. Because if you get to the top, all you can do is self-sabotage back down. You know, that like that fire in you that gets excited. I think that's probably the most dangerous thing to lose.
Yeah, I would agree. Even having something to go after.
Right. That you're fired up about, that's bigger than you.
Yeah. Just the other day I was talking about, like, I need to find something that gets me freaking fired up again. Almost like when you're, you know, on a team and you're going to play another team and it's the championship, or, you know, you got to win, that feeling. Right. I kind of don't have that with anything right now. I got big visions, and, you know, right. I'm motivated. Don't get me wrong, but I don't have anything that like keeps me awake at night.
Yeah.
But it might be just because, you know, I've been killing it for a while.
Well, yeah. So I think that's the hardest thing for a guy like you. It's easier for me right now because I'm just coming to the space where I get to like try to let people get to know who I am. So that's very exciting to me. But I remember previous to that, I was sitting in my house putting dress shoes on to go to my construction company. I'm like looking out the back glass in my pool in the bamboo, and I'm like, man, it's a long way from the trailer park, right? And for a guy like you that's achieved so much, you know, I'm behind you quite a few years. So I still get to chase the things that you've already accomplished. So it's easier for me to have that fire where a guy like you that has accomplished so much. Like when you were telling me backstage about like the numbers and stuff and how all that stuff works, dude, I was fired up inside. That's exciting for me because I know that's an opportunity that I've not achieved yet. Haven't climbed that mountain yet. You've already climbed all these mountains. So it seems like it'd be increasingly difficult the more successful you are to find that fire, because then you just have to get outrageous about it.
Well, you just got to change your group.
Yeah.
Like you got
your atmosphere.
Well, you got to constantly change who you're hanging around.
Yeah.
If ever you're around a group of guys, even with like you and the I don't know what you call that group that you guys.
Oh yeah. The friendship circle.
The friendship circle.
Me and Andrew and Tristan and Sterling and Shooter. Yeah.
Yeah. So like right now that's cool. But if everyone's kind of eventually just got complacent and
never happened,
and you didn't change that circle, you guys would all just eventually float out. And you make money and you're happy, but you lost that fire. And then guess what? Some other new crew comes up and you're like, oh, look at the young pups trying to come up. But at the end of the day, I always tell people, listen, I don't think anybody's better than you. I think they're just ahead of you in some cases.
Completely agree.
They're just ahead. But you know, I don't think I've actually achieved anything. Like I got to fix that negative self.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Cause like, to me, it's like, people are always like, you know, oh dude. And I'm like, dude, I ain't done shit yet.
Yeah.
Like I honestly really haven't. Like I need to hit the $1 billion mark. I think that's the new millionaire. Like until you hit 100 million, you know, I wouldn't talk much. Right. Mm-hmm. Especially nowadays, how easy it is to make money. You can make money doing so many things. There's people out there struggling, making less than 100 grand a year, busting their ass 80 hours a week, don't have time for their family. They don't get to take vacations just so they can make 100 grand. And it's like, they don't realize that if you put that work, that effort into just something else, you can make 100 mil. Well, it took me 20 years to build this 8-figure company. And in the last 6 months, I've built, I'm building, but I've built another 3, maybe 4, going on 4. So I think each one of those will be worth $300 to $500 million each. So there's my $1 billion.
Yeah.
And all I got to do is build those and liquidate.
Wouldn't you say that's how the game is though? It's like you push, and you get a little bit, and then you push again. And then all of a sudden you have this skill set that nobody can ever take from you, and you can multiply it. And that's when you kind of hit the compounding interest of winning as a businessman.
100%.
Yeah. Congratulations.
And or if you literally make the right decisions, because life boils down to choices.
Right.
You know, I've been married a couple times. I've made all the mistakes in the world.
Yeah.
I didn't do it the smart way. Yeah. I did it the hard way.
That's a big one too.
Yeah. So I wrote a book called The Hard Way, and it's just lessons I learned the hard way so other people don't have to. And what's funny is you're going to learn what's in that book regardless.
Yeah. It's just, do you want to go through it yourself?
How much are you going to pay is the question. $24.95 is the cheapest.
Yeah.
But if you
half your net worth's the other.
Exactly. But if you buy that book and you read the book, there's 16 chapters, 16 lessons, 16 stories of how I learned those lessons. And I'm telling you, people will be like, oh, well, no shit. Well, no shit. How come you're not doing it then? A lot of people are like, they can't figure out how to be successful. And it blows my mind.
You know what's interesting to me is I think that they know. I always say that I'd much rather be tough than intelligent, because I think a lot of people know that if they just do what they know they're supposed to do, that voice in their head that's telling them, hey, you need to go do this. If they would just fucking do that, they would find themselves a lot better off. I think a lot of times it's inaction. Now, don't get me wrong. I definitely think there's competencies and intelligence, especially like interpersonally, when you're trying to get a deal done or trying to really connect with another person. But a lot of times I feel like people know what they should do and they just don't do it.
Why do you think that is?
I don't think they know how to talk to themselves. You know, they're like, let's say I go in the gym, for example. If I didn't want to go to the gym this morning, but all I do is lie to myself. You know, I feel like we both have two voices in our heads.
We do.
We have like the little bitch voice, and then we have a grown ass man voice.
I call that the boss voice.
Do you? Okay, cool.
Or the king.
Yeah,
but,
I've made videos about this. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because they're always conflicting. And so my goal is always to smother the child voice. And so the way I do that, particularly around working out or anything that I know I should be doing, is I just lie to myself and I say, look, I'm just going to go in there and do one set and leave. And the little bitch is like, okay, just one set and then we can go. I'm like, yeah, we can go, bitch. And then the next thing you know, you spend an hour because you get warmed up and you're like, this isn't so bad, or you start to get a pump or whatever it is. Or even if it's a work thing, man, you start to get a little progress. You're like, hey, I think we might be able to get this deal, you know, and you dig into it deeper and deeper and deeper. And I catch myself in what I call waves of momentum. So you can either use discipline or you can lie to yourself. I think discipline is very important, but I also think in some ways it's a natural resource, you know. But I'll use discipline to get into the next phase. So like, you know how it's so much more fun to exercise when you're in better shape and you look jacked?
Of course.
So I use discipline to get to there. And then it's like, you know, progress. Just same thing in my business. I use discipline to get to a certain point, but once we started making fucking money, well, it's, you know, your wrist never hurts when the ball's going in. You know, like when your jumper's on, you're never bitching about your wrist hurting. It's only when you're missing or you don't want to get started. So for me, I use a mixture of discipline and lying to myself to make sure that I will manipulate myself into do shit that I'm supposed to do.
So do you think people are not doing it because they're listening to their bitch voice?
That, or they're sedated.
What about they're worried about what everybody else thinks?
I can tell you, man, in my life, that was one of the biggest challenges. I grew like growing up in the South, especially like where I am now. In fact, in some ways, I think I've been overcorrecting, you know, making sure people know I don't give a fuck what they think. But I think that most oftentimes suppression is wrapped in love. So if you want to go do something big with your life, let's say, it's going to be the people close to you that are threatened by you wanting to do something bigger with your life that are going to come to you and suppress you with, I'm worried about you. Don't you think you just want to get a normal job? Don't you want to just settle down? Don't you think you want to just do this over here? That's risky out there. Well, the truth is the risk is really in the inaction, right? Like, I can't imagine my life if I was putting on a fire retarded suit today and walking into Exxon. Isn't that more risky than the risk I took to be able to sit in front of you?
Well, sure.
I'd say so.
Yeah, but people are afraid for some reason of other people's opinion, which I don't get at all. I keep telling people, like, if people would just literally forget that other people existed. I'm not talking about being a rude dick. I'm talking about just not caring what other people think. Yeah. Everybody would take more risk. Everybody would fall more often and stand up and go again, and everybody would win. So I walk around, you know, especially on my content, I try to get people to, number one, raise their self-worth, because I think if you raise your self-worth, your net worth follows.
I completely agree with you. And I think that massive amounts of people leave greatness inside of them out of fear of what others will think, you know.